Hello, you Zero Suit Ridleys that are too big for Smash Brothers. Welcome to my first impressions of Samus Returns for the 3DS. So this is going to be post-commentary. I'm just going to get ready to press play to sync it up. So I'm going to press play now, and it's now moving. So welcome to my first impressions. As you can probably guess, the CIA file got leaked. There is a whole to do with that, and I am going to be making a video tomorrow. I've already got the audio recorded for that, and this was the footage that I was going to record for the video that's coming tomorrow. So I've already got all of the audio recorded, and this is going to be the footage that goes with that audio. And the whole thing was the Legacy Edition, the English one, got distributed wrong, and people got the game a week early, and so the CIA file, that's the type of file that 3DS's run, got leaked early. So this is me now playing on the Citra emulator. But I mean, considering what you're going to see in that video tomorrow, don't worry, I've already bought the game. Like, if you're saying like, oh, you're pirating asshole, oh no, my friend. Oh no, when you see the absurd amount of money that I spent on this game tomorrow, I mean, partly because I wanted to, but also because I am a Metroid fan, but partly to show Nintendo up for just exactly what is going on with the whole let's put pre-orders up at 2 in the morning when everybody's asleep except for scalpers type thing. So it's just kind of like a load of bollocks. But anyway, going back to the video, I will say that for the first 10 minutes when I'm moving around, I do have to configure the controller several times. But when we get into it, oh boy do we get into it. And what tells about this video is this was an hour, and I was supposed to stop after 30 minutes. The actual video going up tomorrow is only about 12-15 minutes long, and some of that's going to be pictures showing like evidence of me talking to a guy and evidence that the amiibos are not available on Amazon, and the Legacy Edition was going up at 2 in the morning. You know, a lot of it is going to be visual representation, so I won't even need like full video. But even after half an hour, I'm like, all right, I've got half an hour, just one more room. And because I got used to the controls at that point after doing all of this configuration, I got so used to the controls, I was just like, oh my word, I kind of don't want to stop, and it'll be more evident why as we go into the first impressions. But this was just me like configuring my controls and getting everything ready for the actual run. And it is running a little bit slow, I will admit, because I was also streaming this part of the game because everybody else also wanted to see it, and because the CIA file leaked, I'm not under any kind of embargo terms to you know, not show spoilers. I mean, I kind of looked up the embargo terms before starting, and you're allowed to show the first Metroid and a little bit after it, and I kind of stopped at the right place. Like the first hour of the game, I mean, if I was actually using a C-stick, because this game will work so much better with a C-stick, but if I was using a C-stick and I could actually aim correctly rather than doing this button configuration, I probably would have got to where the embargo bit is within 30 minutes, but because I was messing with it for a while, it did take like an hour to get to where the actual embargo ends. And I did slightly, I mean, I'll be honest, I did slightly break embargo, but I'll show you that near the end, because it's near the pyramid, and you'll get what I mean in a minute. But as we move in, I can give my initial thoughts. Obviously, you all will be hearing the music right now, and the music is fantastic. As we go through each area and we fight our first Metroid and the music picks up, the music is so good. There has been so much good music this past year. Like, there has been the Crash Bandicoot soundtrack, which got remastered. That sounds absolutely fantastic. We've got the Hollow Knight soundtrack, which is absolutely stunning. We've got this soundtrack, which is great. Like, there's been so many good. Sonic Mania, which is another fantastic soundtrack. Like, if I had to pick a soundtrack of the year, because I know we're getting close to top 5 and bottom 5, and if I had to pick a soundtrack of the year, I honestly don't know what soundtrack of the year would be. Like, there's been that many good soundtracks. It's been a great year for soundtracks and a great year for games overall. Sorry, taking a drink of water. Now, this bit did annoy me slightly. You see how I'm, like, pressing the missile button and then it just immediately goes off? Because the instructions were, as you can see, holding R. And when I do the comparison in the review, I will be bringing this up. I kind of don't like this. It's something you can get used to, but I kind of don't like this. Because from playing other Metroid games, including AM2R, which I'll be comparing a lot to in the review, like, you just have to press R once, so you tap R and you're in permanent missile mode. You tap R again, you're in permanent super missile mode. You know, you just kind of cycle through your attacks, and having to, like, hold R and then fire, it did feel a little bit weird. I got used to it, but I don't know if I like it. What I do like, though, is the free aim, and because I'm on mousey keyboard, I don't have a circle pad, as you can probably guess. I had to figure out a way to configure the buttons in order to get the circle pad, and this is actually the last time that I do configure the buttons. So once I've configured them for the circle pad 360 aiming, then I'm done, and I just sail through it. Like, I just get so used to it at this point, because I chose, like, I was thinking about which button to choose to put into circle mode, and I'm like, ooh, okay. So I could press Q, G, and then I had to look at where the other directions were, and the button that I chose just happened to work with mousey keyboard setup, and as you can see, there's me aiming diagonal. Now, I'm not quite in line for it, so I have to take a backup and re-aim myself with the thing, and then I'm like, oh, I'm too far. So I did have to set myself up a little bit, but what I do like is this 360 aiming, where you can aim in any direction. That is a great addition to the Metroid series, and the fact that there's a little laser pointer to help you in where you're shooting, again, another fantastic addition, and I really do like that addition that they made, and it does benefit the Metroid series. It does make the game feel a lot more fluent. And just in terms of the frame rate, as I said, I was streaming. I forgot to finish my thought process on this. But as for the frame rate, I was streaming and recording at the same time. So, you know, I had the stream going so people could see it. And I had the recorder going so that it was recording. But of course, when you're recording the footage, not only does the footage have to be rendered as it's recording, it also has to save it to the memory, and then I've got streaming, so the frame rate is a little bit low. You know, we're operating on about 20 frames at some points. It drops down to maybe 7. I think when I was looking at my FPS reader, it dropped to 17 frames at one point. So we're operating between 17 and 25 frames in this footage, but when I'm not actually streaming and recording, and when I was just like testing it out and I was playing normally, because I played a little bit further on after this for the review that's going to be coming up, but playing further on with no recorders running and no live streams running, I was getting the full 30 frame per second experience. So as long as I'm not streaming or recording, the game, even emulated, runs at 30 frames per second, which was really nice. And despite me, well, I mean, I don't really want to spoil it. I'm going to stop myself there, because I was going to say, despite me thinking something that comes up, it really didn't impact, but I'll wait till the moment arises. Ugh. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired because it is now way after midnight, and this video is going to go up at about 1:30, I'm going to guess, because by the time I attach the audio to this, it's going to have to save and then render, and I'm going to have to upload it to YouTube. So this video is going to go up at probably 2 in the morning, so I'm going to be a little bit tired, but that's alright. I've got a bit of Vine Source to watch. I'll watch a bit of Vine Source, either Joel's Spooky Saturday where he streams Luigi's Mansion, or I'll try and finish Vinny's Rabbids Kingdom Part 2. And again, I kind of don't like the fact it's Rabbids, they killed Rayman, but the game is alright. You know, it's baby's first XCOM, but it's alright. So at least we've got something to watch while this hour-long video renders, but there you go. And yeah, so I kind of at this point have just got to wait around for past Spyro to get to where the game picks up. I guess I'll talk about the graphics as well, because complementing the music is this stunning visual style. And I was worried going into this. I thought that it wouldn't be like AM2R. Again, like, the comparisons are going to be drawn because that was the first Metroid 2 remake, you know. That's the one that got cease and desisted, that's the one that got all the attention, and it was a fantastic remake. It did a lot of stuff right, and a lot of people really adored it, and the pixel art style works really well for Metroid, and it lent itself really well to AM2R. Like, I got a good look at this fish, and when comparing the fish to the fish in AM2R, I mean, I kind of prefer the fish in AM2R. I mean, this is just one enemy. As we go deeper into the planet, there's a lot more I like, but you know, when I saw that fish, I'm like, you know, he's alright wobbling back and forth and climbing the walls, but he doesn't look right. You know, the fish itself in AM2R looks a little bit better, just like this frog. I mean, we've seen the frog before in AM2R, and I kind of like the frog a little bit better, but as we got into it, and you know, you can see this space marine covered in goo in the background. I guess he saw the sails of Federation Force. That was won by midnight. But yeah, when you see that dead space marine, and then you see like the little egg in the background there, it's got some nice set pieces, and then we get cutscenes like this where we'll have zoom-ins. I mean, this is just a tutorial cutscene, but when we have cutscenes like this where it highlights certain aspects of the world, it does feel really nice, and this is where I got the ability that I'm going to talk about. So this is the melee counter, and this is the thing I was worried would kind of ruin AM2R, so you can't fail at one, by the way. And this is why I thought AM2R would get ruined, where most enemies will have a melee attack and they will charge at you in some capacity, and if you counter successfully, your gun will automatically lock onto them and you can shoot them to death. Now the slowdown, as you can see, did help. Like, when that thing's coming at full speed, I didn't think I'd be able to counter it in time. But because I'm only running at about 17 frames, you see how like it should have touched me, but I still managed to counter. I basically had the advantage. Like, this tiny bit of slowdown really did give me the advantage, so it made me feel like Dio. So every time an enemy was coming at me, because the world was slowed down to quite a degree, it's just like I'll wait till another bat comes at me, so I'll just kill this guy. But when a bat is coming at me, you obviously know what I was doing, and the stream was getting kind of annoyed, but it was fun because time's basically slowed for me. So when this guy's going, the world though, and there you go. And I didn't get hits at all with the counters. Like, I do once or twice when I've got to drop down. Like, there is a bat right below me, and I wanted to drop down and counter, and I couldn't. Like, I just couldn't get the landing right, so he hits me. I definitely tried to counter, but he still ends up hitting me. So here I am, like, planning it. I dropped down, but I just couldn't, like, get my timing right from the drop. But then this guy, he's on my level, and I'm like, okay, now you're on my level, the world though, when we hit you, and I'm like, I need to be one higher, and then I can shoot him again. And even if he gets out of the stun, I can always the world though him again. So I just got really into the whole countering thing, and I think it's a great addition to the Metroid series. I do think that the counter does add to Samus's arsenal and does feel really fun to use. And as I say, even when the game is running at 30 frames per second, because I thought with Zawaldo, I'm just going to keep calling it Zawaldo, but when I saw Zawaldo and I was hitting everything with Zawaldo, because time slowed, I'm like, I Dio, I'm God. It was me, Dio, and it's like, I Dio, I'm God. I cannot be stopped. I cannot be killed because everything's charging at me really slow. Yet me, because I'm obviously playing it, I'm running at normal speed, so I'm basically slowing time around me and getting the advantage. And when I was running at 30 frames per second, when I wasn't recording, I'm thinking, oh God, they're going to be a lot faster. They're going to be so much faster. I'm not going to be able to counter in time, and I'm just going to get my ass beat. However, even when they're running at 30 frames per second, even when we're not using Zawaldo and we're both on equal footing, we're both on fair grounds, it's still really easy to counter. Like, I still managed to land every single parry. I didn't have any problems with the parry, so it really adds. And when you see the Metroid fight, I was thinking like, oh, I'm not going to counter during the Metroid fight, but because it's kind of like the first Metroid is a tutorial Metroid, it forces you to counter, and when it forces you to counter to show just how effective the parry or the counter is against the Metroids, it's like, okay, no, I've got to parry every Metroid, I've got to counter every Metroid, because that was bloody cool. That was really damn cool. So we just got the Morph Ball power up, and as you can see, we did get another cinematic cutscene, and the world is now starting to make itself a lot more alive in the backgrounds. Like, we can see that we are at the tip top of the Chozo ruins, where there's just a couple of those little stone columns, but as we start to descend deeper, like here, as you can see, it's not just one stone column, it's now stone columns, a wall, this glowy thing. So we start to get more and more Zawaldo! We start to get more and more into the Chozo's homeworld, or the Metroid homeworld. And because it's the 3DS game and not just AM2R, they can go all out on the backgrounds, and it really does make, like, I want to call it LV423 because, again, the video you're going to see tomorrow is got some Alien in it, because Alien is my I want to say my favourite. It's definitely like top 3, and it's one of my top 3 favourite franchises of all time, and that's why the Metroid series is very dear to me, because it's inspired by the Alien films. You know, this female hero that's on an alien planet, and it has that sense of claustrophobia in the twisting caverns of the planet, and that sense of alone. You're trapped alone in space. In space, no one can hear you scream. You are just isolated. That's the word I was looking for. Just this feeling of isolation. So when you've got a series inspired by the Xenomorphs, it's like, man, I really love it. But because the two are so closely connected, I always keep wanting to call SR388 LV423. So yeah, it really does make SR388 feel so alive, and just, oh, I love it. Like that cavern with the smoke rising up in the background. Obviously pixel art can't really do smoke all that well, so it just makes the Metroid homeworld feel so alive, and it looks really, really good. Moving on though, I think we are approaching the ability that a lot of people seem to have a problem with, and I I don't know how I feel about this particular item, because obviously I don't have all the buttons using keyboard and mouse, despite a million buttons. Because of the way Citra is built, I don't have like enough room to put all of these different buttons on different layouts. So this ability was tied to my A button. So when I press A, this ability here will always activate as well. And at first I didn't mean to do it, and then I kind of like was forced to keep doing it just due to the button layout. And as I kept doing it, I'm like, that's actually not that bad, and I kind of really like seeing the way the world shapes out, like, because even though you can kind of see everything, it's still a puzzle to get to the things. You'll see what I mean when I pick it up. And when you get to the pyramid, like the actual pyramid that we're going to see in a bit, and I use the scan thing, and the world just kind of goes whoosh, and it opens up, it's like, oh wow, just, you know, seeing what's ahead of you. I quite enjoyed it. As I say, we'll get to that more when we get to the pyramid, but it was really, really like amazing to just see what was basically what awaited me within the pyramid, even if I didn't know the horrors, because you only get to see the map, you don't really get to see the horrors. And even seeing the map doesn't like fill itself in. You've still got to go to every square to light it up, if you will. You'll see what it does in a minute. And while it does reveal missile and energy tanks, which I personally don't think that's a bad thing, because even when you can see the missile tanks, it's still figuring out how to get the missile tanks. Like, you may not have a certain power, and you may not be able to get through a certain wall. So even if you know which wall it is, you still can't get through that wall without a certain power. Let me just take another drink of water. That's nice. It's chilled as well. It's nice and cold, which is great. So this was where I got a little bit stuck, but yeah. Here's me like now pressing A, and as you can see, it lights up the square, and then the square like goes whoosh, and it shows everything. And you can see there is a missile tank above me, so I'm like, alright, I can see those blocks, and that's pretty cool. Like right there, there's blocks that I now know are breakable. So I break the blocks, and I'm like, right, well, we don't want to go down straight away. We want to go up, because the missile is above me, and I just kind of like used it again to see what was around and see how it worked. But I'm like, right, I want to go up, I want to get this missile tank or energy tank, because I don't know what it is. So we're going to go through here, we're going to morph ball, and we're just going to climb our way up and grab the missile tank. Like, clearly this is a tutorial missile tank, like it's allowing me to see it so that I know where it is, and I know how to use this power. So I get here, and I accidentally like activate it again, and this is what I mean by like how I accidentally activate it, and it revealed another missile tank down on that bottom screen there. And I'm like, oops, didn't mean to do that, but hey, at least I can see more of the map now. And I got to where I thought was the tutorial missile tank, but as you can see, I can't jump high enough. I don't have the power bombs to bomb jump, so I can't get it. Like, I just physically do not have the ability to get this missile tank. So while I can see it, it's still without my reach. And maybe there's a way of like wall jumping from wall to wall that I have not learned yet. Or I know, like I've clearly got it in my arsenal, but I don't know what the correct button is, and I could have just got it then and there. So even though you can see all of the map with the scanner, it's still fine, because half the time you can't work out the puzzle, and you may need a power, and you may need to come back to it. And just seeing, oh, this is the opening cutscene, so I'll let you be quiet. This was the one that obviously made everybody cream their pants when it's like, oh, what's this? Oh, it's the Metroid! That's the E3, but I'll... Nice cutscene. So yeah, that's the one. That was the E3 one. we will talk about you tomorrow. We will talk about you in part 1 of the Samus Returns review tomorrow. We are not going to be touching that amiibo thing because I've got quite a lot to say about that amiibo thing, and some of it isn't good. Well, yeah, we saw the Metroid, so we are approaching the first Metroid battle, and this is where I just fall in love, like absolutely fall in love with the counter from when we fight the first Metroid. So, again, there was me accidentally activating the scanner, and at this point, I just kind of got used to it. I just kind of, like, accepted that I just can't use the scanner, or I can't, like, activate one of them shrines without the scanner just like popping up and just showing the entire map. So I'm like, alright, well, I guess I'll just accept it and just start seeing the map. And you can counter in the air, by the way. That was me punching in the air and testing if you could counter in the air, because I saw him flying at me and I tried to counter, but obviously I got hit, and I'm like, wait a minute, what if I jump and hit in the air? Or what if I'm falling like when I was falling before? Can I counter while falling? And as you can see with me jumping and using my fist, you can indeed counter in the air. And it's like a whole new world, a whole extra layer of strategy has been opened to me. I'm like, oh, it's good. And then I got to this door and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I guess I kind of give up a little bit quickly, but I'm pretty sure it's like super missiles, because I threw one missile at it. I shot it with my gun and I'm like, well, nothing I can do there. Nothing I can do about that. So I guess I'll just go this way and jump in the acid and then go fight the Metroid. And again, like, looking in the background, it's just so richly detailed, because we've got a couple of rocks here. And again, I'm about to press A to get my energy back. Oh. Actually, because I was getting energy back, it cancelled out the scanner. And I love that spinning purple glow, or the spinning red glow when you're powering something up, like you're kind of like Proto-Gust from Luigi. You're actually sucking it out the statue. The effects are just subtle but nice. But yeah, as we're moving into this cavern, we can see like some of the plant life growing, some of the mushrooms in the background, and it just all looks so nice. And again, there's me using the scanner while trying to counter this guy. You've got those crystals growing in the background, those big square crystals, so the backgrounds are really richly detailed and they really do add to the world. And again, we see more dead Space Marines as we approach the Metroid fight that made me... I mean, to be honest, the world though, all of these bats, they really already made me kind of fall in love with it. But then, like, the Metroid fight is like, okay, yeah, I'm convinced. I'm completely... You have sold me on the idea of the counter here. So we're going to save. And I do like this little save animation, and the save pods do look really nice and ornate in their bronze, their plated bronze. Kind of reminds me of, like, the dwarven areas from Skyrim, where it's just like all of this plated copper and this plated bronze, which has got all of these sharp patterned edges on them, and I kind of like that. So it's got that. It does add to that old ruined world feel, like when you go into a Dwemen. Is it Dwemen when you go into like a Dwemen fortress or a Dwemen cavern, and you're going deep below the world of Skyrim? You're going into the deep caves of Skyrim, where the Dwemen made their ancient bronzed golems. And I think this is where the Metroid is now. So prepare for like me to just fall in love with the counter. So I got the missile tank, and I'm like, right, there's only one way to go. And as you can see down on the bottom screen, and I think after I've done this Metroid, I'll talk about the bottom screen. But you can see the Metroid is flashing bright red, like that thing is saying, Metroid is close, Metroid is close. You need to be ready. That Metroid, he's a coming. And if you look at your map, there's only one corridor left for you to go, because obviously you don't have any other powers to open any other doors, so you've only got one place to go, and it's through that door, and you know what's coming through that door. So it's like, right, well, I'll take a save, and then I'm going to go through that door, and I'm going to see the first Metroid fight. So, nice walk into the Dwemen save point, and I'm going to keep calling it the Dwemen save point. And then here we go. And I know there's a cutscene coming up as well, so I kind of like want you to enjoy the cutscene of the Metroid, as that's the only other time we'll see the Metroid. I do not make it to the second Metroid in this first impressions. So if I can just miss out, come on past Spyro, don't go into the ball, hit the missile, there you go, past Spyro. So nice slow roll, and it's like, oh. Surprise, motherfucker. And this is where I fall in love. So he immediately launches a charge right at me, and it locks onto the belly, and you just pound it with missiles. Like, oh. And the Chozo statue awaits. And that's where I fell in love with the whole idea of the counter. Like, when I countered and it just did the cinematic look, and I could hold down the trigger and throw missiles into its belly, it's like, oh, it feels so good. It feels so good! So at that point, like, with the bats, I'm like, you know, I'm countering the bats. I'm already liking this counter. I counter the Metroid. Oh! Okay, yes, I love the counter. I am now... You have fully sold me on the counter. And we're now just going to go, and for beating your first Metroid, you even get a free energy tank. Like, it's just like, hey, congratulations, you beat your first Metroid. You earned this. That's your tutorial done. That's basically the tutorial over. When you do this room here, which has another power-up in it, and you climb back up to the bit that's blinking on the map, the actual Chozo amulet, where you put the DNA that we've collected in, you're ready to go. So that's that'll unlock the next part. But yeah, speaking of the map, we'll actually go to the map now. I like how you don't have to pause anymore, because on all of the other Metroid games, like AM2R and the Game Boy ones, you know, that were built with only one screen in mind, you always had to pause, look round your map, and see exactly where you were in the world. Whereas here, you can continue playing, and you can just enjoy yourself playing, and you can just glance down at the bottom screen for the map, and I think that is, again, a very nice addition. And I'm glad that this is on the 3DS. I was going to say Switch. People wanted it on the Switch, and Midnight did say it would look good on the Switch, and don't get me wrong, it would look absolutely fucking amazing on the Switch, but if you put it on the Switch, then you wouldn't have that map on the bottom screen, and I think the map just casually being on the bottom screen, so you can just glance at your leisure rather than having to pause the game, adds immensely to any Metroidvania. Like, it just adds so much to any Metroid game or any Metroidvania. So if there is any more Metroidvanias coming to the 3DS, be it another Metroid or Hollow Knight, although I know Hollow Knight is coming to the Switch itself. But if there be any other Metroidvanias coming to the 3DS, I would implore them to do what this one has done with the map, where you can just casually look at your map to see where things are while also continuing to fully play. And as you can see, like, I've not configured the controls in a long time because I just got used to the controls and I was just fully in my element at this point. I was just like, oh yes, yes, it is mousey keyboard. Would I prefer to use just normal buttons and like right trigger, left trigger on a controller? Of course I would. Like, that'd be really, really useful if I could just do that. But I can't, so I'll just get used to the buttons and I'll just the world oh that bat and just do it. And I got into it, and even on mouse and keyboard, if you can get used to the mouse and keyboard, it works. It just works fine. It works fine, and I've got no problem with playing through the rest of it for the review. And someone is messaging me on Discord, and it is just everybody asking what I think about it. Don't worry, you'll hear my thoughts momentarily. You will hear them in about 20 minutes. We're about 20 minutes away from the end. If that, because I only go to 50, so we're more like 14 minutes away from the end. And then I'll be saving it and uploading it for everybody to see. Let me just read this really quick while I get out of this little hole with this guy, because I stunned this guy and I've got to wait for him to come through so I could just jump up. The game is awesome. Spyro likes it and is making a video, and I like his scaly butt. Of course you like my scaly butt, Princess Amanetta, because that's something that I have to read from the chat. And now I do think there's too many charge beam doors. Like, we've already been through 3, and this is another charge beam door, so I hope it kind of stops with the whole charge beam door thing. Minor inconvenience, don't really care, it's not a deal breaker. And now we are actually at the statue where we want to be, and this is where I'm a little bit iffy. Like, I'll have to play more of the game for this, but so it requires one Metroid, right? And we've got the one Metroid, and we're gonna put the DNA in. So we're gonna feed the machine. There you go. And as with AM2R, or yeah, just AM2R, I was going to say the Game Boy, so I guess the Game Boy 1 counts as well. But as with AM2R or the Game Boy version, when we kill our first Metroid, the lava has subsided, and with our scan ability, we can see that we are going to be descending down into the caverns below. But where this varies from Metroid 2 on the Game Boy and AM2R, rather than it just being one huge linear planet where, well, not linear because you explore, but rather than it just being one big interconnected, that was the word I was looking for, rather than it just being one big interconnected planet, so it actually feels more like a planet, it kind of goes for the Metroid Fusion style of game, where, as you can see on the map screen on the bottom there, there's what looks like a silver, I guess it looks a bit like a silver ranking symbol from Overwatch or Paladins. You know, it's like a stick with wings on it, so it's a silver stick with wings on it, and it looks a bit like the silver rating from Overwatch. That is a elevator, and taking that elevator will take you down to the next section of SR388, and I don't know if I like that. Like, I'm gonna have to go through a few more sections, and from what people are telling me, the entire game is a bit like that, where you can see a section and you can come back to that section, but you always have to return to this hub world in order to open up the next section, and it's a lot like Fusion. So as you can see, there is a power bomb, or there is a missile tank below me, but I need the power bomb to get through this bit. You see, like, I can't, it's not flashing yet because I don't have the bomb, and I know that I need the bomb. I've already worked out that I need the bomb, but I don't have the bomb, so I can't get to the lower section. But when I get the bomb in the next section, then I've got to come back to this hub world, use the bomb, and that will allow me to get deeper into the caverns to go find the second elevator for Sector 2. So it's a lot like Metroid Fusion. And I don't know if I like that. Like, I prefer AM2R style, where it's just one big interconnecting planet. And then I found Chozo Jesus, and I don't know what Chozo Jesus does. Like, I'm standing on the golden square, as you can see, and I'm like, oh, is it a full health? Does it fully restore my ammo, my magic meter, and my health? And I press A, and it just activates the scanner. I'm like, oh, why is it just activated the scanner? What's this do? What's Chozo Jesus? What do you do? Please, Chozo Jesus, show me the way. And I'm pressing buttons. I'm like, do I fire? Maybe there's a code. Maybe it's just a checkpoint. Perhaps that's all it is. Perhaps it's just a checkpoint. But every other thing that's had a square in the middle has been interactable in some way. It's been activatable in some way. But Chozo Jesus does not activate. So it's like, all right, I guess we won't be activating Chozo Jesus. And then this is a block that requires a super missile, because I shot it a couple of times and it didn't break, so I guess that's a power bomb or super missile. But regardless, we then just descend down into the next part of the planet, and then that's where we end on, that's what the note we end on. And then there's the green crystals that the baby Metroid eats, so I wonder if we'll be coming back through this area. I think we will, and I kind of like bounce up to say, hey, look, there's the green baby Metroid crystals there. But anyway, let's go down the elevator shaft. I don't know why I did that. I was trying to shoot down. I was just trying to shoot down, but shooting down is a little bit awkward on mousey keyboard. Shoot down past Spyro. Go on, shoot down. Shoot down, there you go. There you go. And this is where I found the elevator. I'm like, oh, I see. So I'm like, ooh, what's this? Can I activate this one? I can activate this one. Elevator? Elevator seems weird. Why is there an elevator? I don't know if I like this. Loading. Where are we going, Samus? Oh, where are we going, mystery man? Where are we going? And it's like, oh, I'm in the dark caves, and it's like, I can't see where I am. Look at the bottom screen. Let's get a look at the situation. That's a big cavern that's right below me, and that's why I like the scanner. That's why I don't think the scanner is a bad idea, because now I get to know there is a big cavern right below me, and I can see how much there is to explore. And maybe I just wasn't close enough to see the missile tanks. Perhaps we gotta go deeper. Again, excuse me, it is getting close to 1 o'clock here. But yeah, perhaps I've got to go deeper in to see the missile tanks. And again, I do like how the counter just automatically locks on to the enemies. It's really good. I like the counter. So I just keep dropping down, and it's going to end about here, but not before one of the nicest shots that I've seen so far. And and this is where I got sold on the 3DS graphics over AM2R's graphics. It's coming up in a minute when we're out of the unflooded cavern, and it's the pyramid where the game, or where the let's look at ends, or where the first impressions end. So I'm going to start doing my wrap up right now, because when we get to the pyramid, that's the end, and we are rapidly approaching the pyramid. at the end of the game. Oh yeah, and these little jellyfish fuckers are still here. Sorry, I've just got to go off on these. These are the worst enemy in AM2R, and I fucking hate them so much because every time I try and avoid them, they always fucking get me, and I end up taking so much bloody damage from them, and you'll see it in the review. I fucking hate those little floaty jellyfish bastards. They just always jump out of the water, and no matter how hard I try, I always end up getting hit by them. No matter what, they are just little bastards. So yeah, you'll see me sucking to those enemies in AM2R as well. But yeah, first impressions, I'm really glad that I bought this game. I'm really excited for it, like really excited for it so much. There hasn't been a proper Metroid game officially in ages. You know, we had Other M, which was just total garbage, and then we had Federation Force, which killed the franchise. AM2R started to bring it back, and then it's like, oh hey, here you go. Yeah, hey, you think AM2R is good? Well, we're gonna try and rival that. And then I saw another one of these, and it kind of says, hey, you've got to kill 4 Metroids in this area. And I'm like, oh, well, will those 4 Metroids count to the big plaque upstairs? And again, little jellyfish bastard getting me, because the jellyfish always get me because they're dicks. But yeah, so I was thinking, oh, does that affect the one upstairs? I don't know. And then here's another charge door, kind of wearing out their welcome. And then it's like, oh, we've gone to tropical area. Oh, this is nice. This is really nice. We're in tropical land. And the little fishy does something new. He can make an entire platform electric. And, oh, another charge beam door. Fuck's sake, why have I got a constant... I already used a missile to open the shielding. Just let me shoot the bloody door. And then it's like, fire area. And what I really like is, you see how the scanner on the bottom screen has revealed that room? Well, that room's red, and that's like a nice indication to know that we can't go into that room without the Varia suit, which allows us to be fire resistant. So again, a nice little subtle touch to the maps that just tells you what each area's element is. Like, oh hey, this is a red room, which means this is a fire room, which means you need the fire suit in order to get in. And here is the pyramid, and this is where it's gonna end. But just watch the bats in the background. This is where it's gonna end. It's at the top of this shaft, and oh god, it's just so... It just added to the world so much. Like, I really... When I saw that sold me on picking the graphics of the official version over AM2R, just because of all the little subtleties in the background, like the bats flying into the pyramid that we are going to see. And as I say, just pay very close attention to the pyramid, which is rapidly approaching. But now, as I climb the final shaft here, I'm going to give my final thoughts on the pyramid, or the final thoughts on AM2R as we approach the pyramid. And it's good. It really is good. Like, as I say, Other M was garbage, and it put a lot of people off. Then you had Blast Ball and Federation Force that just completely killed the series dead, and nobody liked Metroid at that point. AM2R did a fantastic job of pulling the series out of the gutter. Like, regardless of what Nintendo says, Nintendo's talking bollocks. AM2R was the thing that brought Metroid 2 back and pretty much inspired this remake, because AM2R got a lot of popularity. Nintendo saw how much popularity it was getting, and they're like, hey, you know what, I bet we could make a better AM2R. And while there are some things which I don't like, and I do think AM2R did vastly better, that we'll talk about in the review, there are some things that Samus Returns has done vastly superior over AM2R. So which one is overall better? I've got to play through the full game to see that. I've got to play through the full game. So far, they're kind of tied. They are both a fantastic version of Metroid 2. I mean, what I would have suggested to Nintendo, and they're not going to do it because they hate fans. I mean, there's a lot more to that, and I'm going to say a lot more about that in the reviews, so just take it with a grain of salt. But because Nintendo hates their fans by, you know, cease and desisting everything fan related, and then just putting all their pre-orders up at 2 in the fucking morning, so fans will not be able to get the item they require, but all of the scalpers will, because that's how Nintendo works, because Nintendo hates you and you will never see a SNES Mini in your life. Don't even bother trying to get an SNES Mini, because you're not going to get one. Because Nintendo hates its fans, they wouldn't have done it, but what would have been Jellyfish Bastard getting me again, but what would have been a really good addition is, look in the back, look in the back. Look at all the bats flying into the pyramid. Do you see them? Do you see them? And then watch when I scan in a minute. So there's all the bats just flying in the background into the pyramid. And remember, this pyramid's underground, and it just added so much life to the world, and it made the planet feel so much more alive. And when I scan, watch, look at the size of that pyramid that's just opened up. Like, I looked at that and I'm like, holy shit, look how high I can go in that room. And then I do a quick save and watch how much of the pyramid opens up. And this is why I really like the scan ability. But yeah, what they should have done with the Legacy Edition, rather than including a code to the Game Boy version, they should have included a code to AM2R, like made it official, so you could choose whether you like the 3D one or the 2D one better. And I think that would have been a great tribute to not only the creators of AM2R but everything. But look at this. Holy shit, look at the size of that pyramid. I got a lot of searching to do in that pyramid, and that's why I love the scan mechanic, because it's like, dude, look how big that pyramid is. I've got to search that giant pyramid, and that's only like a tiny bit of it. That's amazing. So yeah, I'm loving some of these features, and I haven't seen the ability to do pins yet, because I know they've taken pins from Hollow Knight. But yeah, so I think they should have just like let the AM2R guys have their own version, so you could play both the 2D and the 3D version to see how it differs from each other. But either way, it's looking fantastic. I'm very happy with what we've got here, and I'm very excited to play more. Like, I can't wait to play more of this game. So I'm going to end now at this save point. So thank you all for watching this first impressions. If you did enjoy it, do please feel free to leave a like. It does help out the channel. If you can't wait to see the Metroid Samus Returns review, which will be going up on Thursday, part 1 will be up tomorrow, and then part 2 will be up on Thursday. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for those. And as always, there are links down below to the public Discord if you just want to come in and chat, Twitter if you want to see what I'm tweeting about, and the Patreon if you'd like to support me further. But for now, thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one.